Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, all you virtual folks as well. Thanks for attending the first session of the last day of Southwest Fox 2023. My name is Rick Schumer. This is Challenges and Benefits of Creating a MenuDesigner Pro application, and let's get into it. About myself. I'm the president of White Light Computing. We're a small Fortune 100,000 company that develops Visual FoxPro applications from our homes across the country of the U.S. and and Canada. I'm a partner of Forward Thinking Software, which today I get to actually announce that I have a new partner at Forward Thinking Software, bringing on Doug Hennig as a partner in this product that backs up both DBFs and SQL data to the cloud. Partner at Geek Gatherings, along with Doug and Tamara, we put on this conference in Virtual Fox Fest. I was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2010, much to my surprise. And I am a retired MVP, which is probably the only time you'll hear Rick Schumer and retired in the same sentence. And I'm a VFPX administrator. I've authored HackCX and MenuDesigner Pro, as well as some other tools that you can get from my website. 7 books, 100 articles, and a blog that doesn't get a lot of attention these days, but the most important bullet point on any of these slides is going to be my email address. If you guys have any questions about this topic or any other topic I've presented on, or about the conference in general, feel free to reach out. So the agenda today is really to discuss the heritage, the history behind the 20 plus years that this product has been under development and never released to the general public. Okay, we're going to demonstrate it. We're going to demonstrate its siblings or its parents as I developed the product along the line. And then I'm going to discuss, as much time as we have remaining, I'll discuss some of the challenges and some of the reasons why, quite frankly, it took 23 years to have the nerve to actually release this product to the general public or our community. So I think we're all familiar with the native MenuDesigner. There is a lot of concern with this product. From my perspective, it never really got a lot of attention from the Fox team or the Microsoft team, the Fox software team, I should say. It really hadn't changed in a lot of years. I think the only thing they added to the product was adding icons to the menus. And that was pretty much it. The product or the designer itself really hasn't changed very much. And there's a lot of weaknesses with it. The editing of the prompts and actions is narrow. I think they designed this for 640 by 480, and they never made it resizable, which is just really annoying. The navigation via the combo box is not the bomb. There's so many better ways to build a UI tool to navigate through a tree view-based menu system. Modal options dialogues are just extra dialogues that you have to go in and out of to set many options for each menu item. With our 4K monitors, showing only 11 menu items is outrageously complicated to do. I mean, it's just frustrating. And of course, resizing, and then the multiple IDE menu pads that you have to go to get to the various options for the MenuDesigner is a little frustrating for me, at least. What is there to like about the MenuDesigner that's native to Visual FoxPro? Well, for all its shortcomings, it does work. Okay, it's simple to integrate. You don't use a MenuDesigner probably very often, which is probably why it doesn't get a lot of attention, and it is free. It didn't cost anything. It's included in FoxPro. The preview menu turns out to be a complicated feature for me, at least, to include in the MenuDesigner Pro. So I have some respect for the menu preview. And then the ability to generate your menus dynamically, and as you may be aware of with products like GenMenu X, you can actually alter the way the menus, the MPR files are created to the point where they don't even look like standard MPR files that you would see every day with define menu and add menu pads and all that. You can completely change the way menus are generated. And you'll see that both when I demonstrate MenuDesigner Pro and later on. So the first crack I took at this was for a chapter in MegaFox. MegaFox is a book that Andy Kramick and Marcia Akins and I wrote way back in 2002. And this G2 hack menu was one of the tools that I wrote as part of chapter 12. The benefits are it was 100% compatible. It is 100% compatible with the MNX, including all the way back to VFP3 and all the way through VFP Advanced. Okay, it does work with all of it. It buffers the changes. It has easier navigation. Instead of the wonderful combo box, you can actually use a tree view. All the edited content for the menu item is on one page instead of having to go in and out of dialogues. You'll see the general page exposes all the code together. It has a search capability, which helps you find various menu items. It has a command window for hacking the MNX file. CX product, it works the same way. It also packs the MNX file, which isn't usually very necessary because the MenuDesigner Visual FoxPro really does do a good job of keeping deleted records out of the MNX file, which is no more than a DBF, as most people know. There are some drawbacks. It was single instance, meaning you could only run one copy of GenMenuX or G2 hack menu, sorry. No direct integration with the project manager. So if you double clicked on the menu in the project manager or project explorer today, without a custom project hook, you would run the MenuDesigner, not the G2 hack menu. It's only available if you purchased MegaFox, which was not a mega seller, because actually people actually think MegaFox was, because we called it KiloFox, was 1,001 things you wanted to know about Visual FoxPro. But then MegaFox, we said, well, 1,002 things, and people thought we only added one thing, republished the book, and tried to make a whole bunch of money. Well, as you know, authors don't make a whole bunch of money to start with, so it wasn't very good. So now a lot of people actually had access to it. And then as I was practicing my session, I actually noticed that there's a resizing issue in G2 hack menu, and no one mentioned it. So I don't think many people have used this tool. All right, so let's take a look. By the way, I'm using the menu to do a session on menu designers, just so you pick up on that subtle thing that menus actually are still useful, even in today's applications. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do is prompt you for a menu. And so you just pick a menu and boom, it opens up. Always centered, never remembers where it was. The first thing that was very important to me was the navigation. There's really three things that I really tried to focus with this particular generation of the designer. One was that I wanted to be able to navigate to different tools, our different menu items. And a tree view is a natural part, which we'll also find is a disadvantage in the big scheme of things. We'll talk about that later, though. The other thing I really wanted to do is make sure there's enough room to type in things like the prompt and the code or the command or the menu bar, whatever it is that I never have enough room. It's my typical menus in the MenuDesigner says do form something, and I never see the full name of the SCX file. And it's annoying because you always have to scroll over to read it. I want the ability to be able to dynamically go through everything that's on the options dialog without having to go in and out of a modal dialog. And that's all this was really designed to do. You can navigate with the buttons, navigation buttons. As you navigate, it will expand the tree view so that you see which node you're on in the tree view and so on. There is the ability to do a search. You can look at the various columns within the MNX file. Pick prompt here and put in invoice, search, and oops, no record found. Well, that's not right. You have to have the quotes. Let's try invoices. No. Well, trust me, it does normally work. Under pressure of presentation, it's not. It did work about an hour ago when I was typing it in. But anyways, you can search, and then you can search with the plus. It means search again. And so you can go through and find your menu item. The browse just lets you go through and navigate one additional way. You can, click on any record in the browse. It's pretty straightforward with that. There is a pack, which is the cleanup, which will clean up the MNX file, which is doing nothing more than a pack. So all the fundamentals are on the front page. The general page is all the setup code, the procedure code, the cleanup code that you might have in your menu. These particular, the way the MNX is structured, the first three records are the header records, which is where this information is stored. And then the rest of the MNX structure is the menu items that you would see on this tree view. And then the about is just, you'll see that this really shows history because I don't work for Geeks and Gurus anymore. That was my prior job. And anyways, it just shows a little bit of details and provides some links to where the book is and so on. Okay, any questions on this hacking tool? Again, this tool was released 21 years ago. Has anyone used it? Really? Wow, thank you very much. You now are my favorite of the favorite Sunday morning attendees. So, question, yes.
If I store just like the labels for the menu, would it work if I put expressions in it?
That's
the normal menu design would just expect strings for the name of the label.
Oh, okay, sure. So the question is, can you put expressions in for the prompts of the menu? And the answer is you can put in anything you want in the code in this tool. You can. Any questions, Tamar, from the?
No.
No, okay. All right, I'm closing Visual FoxPro. Just as a word of warning, because of the heritage between the G2 Hack menu and the MenuDesigner Pro, they're using similar code. In fact, the code is in MenuDesigner Pro is directly based on it. There was a conflict. There's a conflict between class libraries, which is one of the challenges of building tools is running into class library conflicts. And so if you run this tool and then you run MenuDesigner Pro, it may look that when you run MenuDesigner Pro, it may look like the G2 Hack menu, and vice versa if you run them in the same session of Visual FoxPro. So just a word of warning, and that's why I'm restarting Visual FoxPro. Oops. So MenuDesigner Pro. This product has been in development, I believe, since 2004. So 19 years. Okay. How many people have used it? Exactly 0. And that is because it has never been released. So it was originally part of the plan was to release this as a third WLC commercial tool along with HackCX and the View Editor Pro. This the G2 hack menu roots is in this code. It's been around over 20 years. It's never been released, and it was inspired during a session where we were shown the extensibility of Visual FoxPro 9 by Microsoft for the first time. I'll never forget seeing it. I was not expecting Microsoft to be able to extend Visual FoxPro 9. I mean, how much further could you extend a product that's super extensible? And we were sitting in the room, and that's when they revealed some of the property sheet extensions with member data and so on. And all I remember is having to lift my jaw every time they did something new. And then they showed that you could actually use your own menu designer to replace theirs. I'm pretty certain that they added this because they just did not want to build their own. They were counting on the community to do that. And I remember sitting next to Doug in that room and going, I already have one. This is cool. And then I figured out that it didn't work. And it was not cool. That meant I had to make a change, which is what really inspired MenuDesigner Pro to be developed. The changes are extensive, even though the roots are common between the G2 Hack menu and MenuDesigner Pro. The user interface was revamped completely. I did a lot of usability improvements. I included a slider for pane management between the tree view and the area where you work with the menu items. I allowed for multiple instances. In fact, I think the one time someone called me about the G2 Hack menu was in the last 12 months. And that person was annoyed that it only would run one menu, that you could only run it one instance of it. And I said, well, if you go to our conference coming up in October, you can see the one that works with multiple instances. It has enhanced search, which I'll show in a little bit. You can print the menus for code reviews. You can open the MPR for review. It does backups of your menus before it saves the, well, it actually does the backup right away when you open it. Configuration options, there's lots of configuration options. We're going to show off add-in capability, which allows you to make changes to the menu designer to your own liking, very similar to the Project Explorer and VFPX. And then we're going to do, of course, the thing that probably was the trigger for it, which is the integration for VFP9. And know all along that I don't alter the MNX. It's 100% compatible. And if something in the Menu Designer Pro doesn't work, I'm actually going to show you a way you can go back to the menu designer, the native menu designer. And it's completely compatible with things like GenMenu, GenMenuX, and so on. We'll talk about what's not done later. All right, so there's multiple ways you can run I don't know why I'm saying GenMenu all of a sudden. Menu Designer Pro. One is if you just run the exe, it will prompt you to pick the menu you want. If you pass into the exe the name of the MNX, it will open it up with the menu already. You don't have to pick it. And then I'm going to show you how you can run it from Project Explorer, Project Manager, and so on. All right. So right now it's running. There's a bit of diagnostic code in it, so it runs a little slow on startup. I apologize for that, but that's the way it is right now. And I picked the menu from the dialog, open dialog, and here it is. All right, tree view on the left, information on the right. You can use the pane slider in the middle to move it if you like. It's resizable. Goes all over the place. It does a good job with that. It has the same tree view that we saw in the other hack tool. And you can see that the user interface is just a little bit different. We have a toolbar button across the top with all the options that you can run. We kept the fundamentals page with the same basic information, but made it a little more usable, a little more readable, and a little more flexible. For instance, if this edit box is not enough room for your prompt, which I'm pretty sure it is, you still can click open the expression builder by clicking on the label for that prompt. The skip for has the ability to bring up a code window that allows full IntelliSense, full code colorization, and so on. Message, same thing. And comment, just more room for you to type for your own enjoyment. The rest of that is pretty straightforward. You just navigate to the menu option you want. You go to the procedure code, you bring up the procedure code, and it's available for you with full IntelliSense. Okay. That is like just those features alone is time saving for me. Especially the prompt being bigger and the ability to go into IntelliSense with the code windows is worth the price of admission to me, which, by the way, the price of admission is free. Okay. Yes. Question.
It's just a design of the menu generation is still by GenMenu PRG.
Yeah. The question is the menu generation code run by GenMenu or GenMenu X? Yes. Absolutely no difference. And by the way, you can also, with add-ins, change that. So
for new menus, you just launch this and use new, or we have to have an MN exploit to launch this or not?
Good question. Do I need an MNX to launch this? Currently, yes, but maybe not in the future. Maybe somebody else might want to write some of this code for helping me. Hint, hint. Okay. So, yeah, we'll talk more about that later. There are things that are not implemented. Yes. Okay. Tamara, any questions from the audience yet? Or the virtual?
Actually, yes. Jody asks, can the fonts in the MenuDesigner Pro be set? Repeat.
Yes. Can the fonts in the MenuDesigner Pro be set? More to come. Okay. Yes, I probably should zoom in is this readable yet for you guys in the back? Okay. Good. I'll keep you guys in the dark until I need you to help me with stuff, but no, that's okay. Zoom in here. Better? Ooh, no. So anyways, I'll give you guys a view of this and then I'll go through it. You guys will see the relative stuff, position and stuff. So yes, a tree view on the right, on the left, the main editing pane on the right. Again, it has the ability to do searches, search again, browse. Those are the three buttons up on the top there. The broom is the cleanup for packing the DBF. And then there's a set of 4 buttons that don't work. And that's to add items and bars and so on and remove menu items. The next button with the the spyglass on it is to preview the menu. The next one is to generate the menu. And then there's a code window, which is to hack the code, write your own commands to hack the MNX. And then the VCR buttons to navigate, a go button to go to a certain record if you want. The next one is to get documentation on the MNX structure, and then a help button for a help file. Yes, Shauna?
Are there any shortcut keys?
Shortcut keys for the buttons? No. That's a good enhancement request. You should put that in the issues list. Once there is an issues list. Okay, so on the general page again is just your setup code, your cleanup code, your procedure code. Each one of those has a hyperlink that you can open up a PRG window. I'm not going to just repeat those all over and over. We're going to skip add-ins and go to configuration. Configuration has a lot of setup that you can pick and choose how the MenuDesigner looks and works. You can code a specific startup directory if you want to for instance, you're a one project person, you always want to open up in that one project, you can have it do that. The backup directory is where the MNX backup files go. Each time you open up a menu, it makes a copy of the menu files in your backup folder. Saving configuration on exit, just as it says. Log errors, I encourage you to keep that on, just in case something does go wrong. It has. And it has a very rudimentary error log file that you can then send me when things aren't working. Creating backup, your choice. I suggest you leave that checked on. Themes, if you want the VFP themes to be involved in the UI. Hot tracking toolbar buttons, because you can turn those off if you want standard buttons. The browse grid back color is just showing when you bring up the browse, it just highlights the actual grid in yellow. File name to edit properties and methods. This is just the PRG that opens up when you have code to edit. You can decide what that program name is. The error log file is what it is. And then the location, this is really an important one. The last one at the bottom, the location for the menu designer. This will put it in the registry so that third-party tools can access it, including one third-party tool, which is VFP itself. And that's how it knows where to run the menu designer. The About screen has just got some general information and a lot of hyperlinks. This is mostly just for myself to know what I'm running, what version of VFP, which version of Windows, where am I running Gen Menu X, or am I running Gen Menu Standard, which is the one that ships with VFP. It tells me what the help file name is, the configuration file, and the temp folders, which is where files sometimes get written. We'll talk about add-ins in a little bit, but this is just a list of add-ins that were registered for the menu designer. All right, any questions on the general functionality of the menu designer? Okay. Oh, there was one other thing. Oh no, I'll show that in a bit. So what's not done? Creating new menus. That's what, Mod, that's to your thing. If you do a file new menu, it does not deal with that at this time. It's not going to be difficult to do, but there are some challenges. The main thing that I wanted to do is allow for you to build templates in advance so that you could pick your template when you do a new menu. And that's more complicated. I haven't done that. Previewing the menu. For whatever reason, the nice thing about the preview and the menu in the native designer is that it doesn't error out because it's not trying to run the code. When you actually pick the menu item and you have some command to run, it's going to try to run that because you actually are doing the menu. And I have several ideas of how to implement this. So far, I've been unsuccessful. Internationalization. Most tools that ship with Visual FoxPro that have international or have language translations done for them require the people not using English to recompile the tools because the translation is done via pound include files, okay, and all constants. And I thought about doing that, but then Steve Black made his Intel tool available in open source. So I've sort of wanting to pivot to go towards that, to use that in a tool, but nothing has been taken into consideration for internationalizing the natural languages of the captions and stuff. And I regret that. That's one of my challenges that we'll talk about. Finishing the help file. The help file was actually being built all along, and then something changed in the Westwind Help Builder, and so I had to do something different, and it's just needs a lot of work. One of those I don't know about anyone else who develops, but I get a lot of ideas while hot water is flowing over my head and my neck. in the shower each morning. And one of the things that I came up with, actually inspired by something that's in the add-ins already, is to generate the VFPX ribbon control that Doug wrote, and to generate the code to generate the ribbon from the MNX file. And then there's one huge design flaw in this from the beginning, and that is to move to an engine-centric model. If you look at some of the other tools that VFP has in it, you'll see, like, for instance, the upsizing wizard. The upsizing wizard is completely programmatically controllable, and it is because it was designed from an engine-centric design, and that's not something that I did when I started building this in the early 2000s. Yes, Bill.
You may wish, with enhancement request, you may wish to check for duplicate hotkeys for a menu, and that's actually important.
Oh, Bill, you're spawning off new add-in capabilities.
Okay.
So the question is having a capability of checking for duplicate hotkeys in your menus.
That's important for Visual FoxPro because
Of course
you
it
can't
is.
reach the second one, and the example that you showed where you magnified it, that had a duplicate hotkey.
Well, and knowing Bill, you'll find them.
No, I don't. Check your P. No, go back.
I'm not. I believe you, Bill. I never doubt your ability to find duplicate hotkeys, Bill. All right. So let's talk about VFP integration, because this was the thing that really was when I was sitting in that moment with the demonstration of the extensibility of Visual FoxPro. That one thing that I thought, oh my God, I can actually have a menu designer when I double click on a menu in the project builder or project manager. I can click it and it will go to my menu and not the junky one that I was frustrated with. It's all done with _MenuDesigner. This is the hook. It's a public system variable that is included in Visual FoxPro. You do not have to add it. Everyone has it already. It is set to an empty string, and when it's set to the empty string, it runs the native menu designer. Okay. If you change it, it will run whatever you put there. Okay. I suggest fully pathed, so it always finds it and is not working or worried about relative pathing. You can set _MenuDesigner many ways. You can do it in a startup program from your config FPW. You can include it in config FPW and it will automatically be set. You can also go into the VFP options dialog as shown on the screen, where menu designer can be set through the options dialog. Okay. Or you can type in the command window if you're the kind of person who just likes to type things in the command window without any UI. It's all there available for you as well. Or you can write a Thor custom tool. How many different ways do you think you can set _MenuDesigner? It's amazing how many. There are documented parameters when you build your own menu designer. There are documented parameters. We'll cover those later. So I'm going to go here into my project manager here, and I'm going to double click on main, and what the heck? Why would it bring up the native menu designer? Well, I haven't set _MenuDesigner. I'll cover this in a little bit, but I do have a Thor tool, of course. Run Thor menu toggler. Okay, I did that, and now when I run it from the project manager, it opens. And if I open a second one, it opens a second instance. There you go. Whoever called me like 6 months ago, it works. This has worked from the very beginning in the Menu Designer Pro. You can't see it if you're not looking for it, but at the very bottom, you can see the little number 2 in parentheses in the status bar. That's your instance number. So you have 2 instances in this case.
What would happen if you tried to open the same menu again? Will it just go back to the other instance?
That's a good question. I think that the speed of light molecule spinning at the speed of light happens. I'm not sure. So I'm not going to try. Tamara asked what happens if you try to open it again, the same menu again. I think it actually tells you that it's open already. Let's try it. We can always blow it up. Yep, already opened.
Okay, good answer.
Oh, in a loop. See? The spinning molecules at the speed of light. All right, I knew I shouldn't have tried that. Rule number 1, never let your attendees drive your session off the rails. That's okay. We'll kill FoxPro. Microsoft did it. We could do it. Come on. Okay. That's a good thing about having an easy setup. All right. Let's go back to the PowerPoint slide. So, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Thor. My respect for the Thor team, and it's not just Jim Nelson, by the way. Even though Jim does the vast majority of work, he gives a lot of credit to a lot of people. You know, Matt being his muse, there's a whole other team besides Matt and Jim. It's amazing how many people are done. So I wrote a tool to toggle it because for whatever reason, your preference, my preference, you may want to go back to the native MenuDesigner. There are things that are not implemented in the MenuDesigner Pro. I am not hurt or offended in any way if you want to use a native MenuDesigner at any point in time. So because we write in the Windows registry the location of the MenuDesigner, you can write code to get that location and toggle it between which one you want to run. So let's take a look at the code. Very meta, using Thor to reveal a Thor feature. Okay, so if we go down here, the first part of the code, if you've written any Thor tools, you'll know that there's registry code where you register your Thor tool with Thor. And so you just have to tell it the prompt, what you want it to be, a description, and a key part here is the source, which is the actual menu item in Thor. So in the case of Thor tools, I have a VFPX menu and I have my MenuDesigner toggler. That's where it resides. All of that is all done for you. The rest of this code is basically going and looking at that registry key using a Fox Foundation class. Nothing fancy here. I didn't write any special code. I go into the registry, I get the location of the registry entry, and depending on what's in the current registry and what the underscore MenuDesigner is set to. If it's empty, I set it to the MenuDesigner Pro. If it's MenuDesigner Pro, I set it to empty. Nothing fancy. If you have your own MenuDesigner and you want to toggle between the one I've written, the native, and your own, and there is another one which we'll talk about later, you can just alter this code to round robin through the 3 of them or 4 of them or how many other ones that are written. So that's all it does. It's nothing special. The code's very easy to read. If you're interested, it's in the white paper and you'll get a copy of this. For those not using Thor, you still can run this code. In fact, every Thor tool can be, well, I shouldn't say that. A lot of Thor tools that don't access Thor directly internally can be run as a standard PRG. I can run that outside of Thor and it would still toggle. Okay. Add-ins. So how many people are using the Project Explorer in VFPX? Yeah, a few of you. Good. One of the most powerful features, I mean, just the fact that we have the Project Explorer and all the benefits that come with it, one of the features I most like in it is the ability to do add-ons. And the add-ons allow you to do things like add buttons to the toolbar in Project Explorer. And so I added my project builder I have it run my project builder when it does builds. And so having that feature was something I wanted to bring to MenuDesigner Pro. And so I started digging into Doug's code and started asking questions. And before I knew it, my friend and our colleague decided he would actually put the add-in capability into MenuDesigner Pro. I didn't even have to blackmail him to do that. It's the techniques, of course. When Doug does it for MenuDesigner Pro, he just lifted the code from Project Explorer and implemented it in MenuDesigner Pro. So the add-in technology is the same. So if you're written add-ins for for Project Explorer, you have the techniques and the know-how to do it for MenuDesigner Pro. The hooks run in various methods. So when you decide where you want to hook into, all you have to decide is the method available in MenuDesigner Pro to hook into? And we'll talk about where that's available. There is an add-ins folder under MenuDesigner Pro. That's where the standard core base of add-ins are included. If you alter those and we make a change to them, we're going to overwrite your add-ins. So the rule is, if you're going to alter them, don't do it in the actual add-ins folder. There's a My Add-ins folder, which is an idea I threw by Doug years ago for Project Explorer, because he kept releasing things and stuff that I activated, he deactivated when he made his release. So I'm like, can we just have a My Add-ins folder so that I can make a copy of your add-in and make my changes to it and activate it and not worry about you overwriting it? And his generosity, he did that as well. And the same applies to MenuDesigner Pro. We'll take a look at, there's templates and lots of examples. And so you'll be able to at least learn from those. Here's all the opportunities. And I apologize for the small print. There's lots of them, okay? The details are for parameters, and the descriptions of each of the add-ins and each of the methods that you can hook into are all in the white paper. I'm not going to cover each one. There's just not enough time to allow for that. But I will tell you, if it says before, if in the name of the method is before, that will also mean if you return false from that method, it's running at the beginning of whatever it is. So before build, it's running before the actual build command for generating the NPR. If you return false from your add-in, it won't run the rest of the code. So that is one useful thing. If you want to avoid builds and you want to check a whole bunch of stuff, like put in some hooks for looking for duplicate hotkeys, you can do that in a before build, have it run your code, and if you find duplicate hotkeys, inform your developer who's doing it and stop the build from happening. Okay? All right, let's go take a look at some of the add-ins. Again, the folder is under the, wherever you have it installed, it'll be in the add-ins folder. It's just PRGs. Okay, my add-ins are the ones that I have written for myself. Okay, my add-ins will also go out as examples as well, but just to show you, you can customize and have your own that are separate from the ones that are core. All right, let's take a look at a simple one. Let's change the font name. So if you don't like Tahoma, which is the font I selected back in 2002, okay, and I don't use that font for my tools anymore. If you want it to be something else, like the more common Seago UI, you can change it, okay? So on startup, on the startup method, meaning when the MenuDesigner Pro starts, I'm going to have it, because it's now, this is an active. If I don't want this particular add-in, I just change that to false. It's no longer active. I'm going to have this menu or this add-in run, and what it's going to do, 2 parameter 1 is the UI, the form itself. And I'm going to set all font name to this constant, which you can change to your favorite font, Seagull UI. And it's going to even change the tree view that we have in the MenuDesigner Pro to the same font. And that's all it does. Set all and one tree view, and it's all the fonts in the whole form are set. Huge flaw I just noticed like 2 weeks ago. There are a whole bunch of other dialogues that this doesn't affect. So I have to make a change to change that, but I figured out a way to do that. So anyways, that's a real easy, basic, fundamental one. Changing the font size, same idea. Just set all font size to whatever font size you want. And there is an add-in for that as well. Here's one. Doug built on startup. He wanted to be able to effectively, and I can't scroll this up. He wanted to change one of the edit boxes to be enabled, which is the name property of a menu. He wanted to enable it because it's disabled. This is the kind of stuff you can do. If you don't like certain things, you can enable and disable, visible, invisible, whatever. You want to see comments, well, you can just make that comment edit box disappear if you like. Okay, so there's all kinds of things that you can do. Now these can get very sophisticated, and I'm not going to go through this entire program because it's extremely complex. Well, I shouldn't say extremely complex. It's complex, and it does something very specific. Doug doesn't use the standard menus. He has his own object-oriented menus that are up on VFPX. So he wanted, instead of the standard menu MPR generated, he wanted his own menus, which are object-oriented. He wanted the code to run those menus generated. So he's basically overriding the standard gen menu process with his own, and he runs that in the before build menu. Okay. And so that's what he's decided he wants for his object-oriented menus. If you want your own object-oriented menus, or you have alteration that you want to the MPR that can't be handled through Gen Menu X or whatever it is, you can write your own. Okay. Any questions on that? Yes.
If you're putting multiple different methods into particular events, is there some precedence?
Good. Actually, that's a very good question, Richard. Can you set your own precedence for which add-ins run before other add-ins? And that is handled, and this, I'll just use this one as easier, is by order, the order property of the object passed in. Okay, and you'll see an actual advantage of this in a second. Okay, and then the name is what's going to show up on the add-ins page. So let's run that. Oops. I went out because I spun the molecules at the speed of light. Run toggler, thank you. Oh, by the way, I've been moving the mouse around. It actually displays a wait window, which way it installed, which one it toggled to. And you can set that wait window to be an actual wait window. I have it as a wait window, no wait, because I just don't care. I just want to just run it and go. So the add-ins page shows you the different ones that are active, that were registered when MenuDesigner started up. It will automatically run every PRG in the add-ins and my add-ins window, run through the registry code to register the add-in if it's active. If it's not active, and you can see I only have 2 active out of the 6 that are available currently. If you double click on this grid entry, it will actually open up the PRG. And you can see here, I have it at Seagull UI, and I'm ordering it to the 98 priority. Okay, the sequence of priorities. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change this to active. And this is priority 99, and it also is changing the font. And now I have the very intuitive Wingding font for my captions. Okay, but it was 98, so it ran after 90. It's 99, so it ran after 98. So first it's set to Seago UI, then it ran it to Wingdings. So yes, question.
The 180 box special.
Is the what?
The 180 box stuck in the
English.
font.
Which one?
Create, save, delete, and restore. In the middle, more or less in the middle.
The content, your edit boxes don't seem to have changed.
Well, no, the content doesn't change. I only change the labels. Yes.
All other edit boxes are changed. Or most.
It's
Yeah.
mix.
It's a bug. It's a bug.
It's always encrypted.
Yes. Either that or this was ransomware that hit, one or the other. Okay, so that just sort of gives you an idea. You can change things. You can make your coworkers' lives miserable with Wingdings, and if they don't know how to do the add-ins, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle for them. But yes, silly pet tricks. But I will turn that off just because I don't want that to happen to me. Okay, any questions on add-ons? Okay, any virtual questions tomorrow? No? Okay. Yes.
So I can use this to add my own shortcut keys.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I can use this to add my own shortcut keys.
Oh, yes. Sean's question is, can he add his own shortcut keys to the toolbar? Yes. Yes, you can. Okay, the Microsoft docs for IDE integration are all in the _ menu designer system variable in the VFP9 help file. I also have them documented in the source code of the menu designer in case like that changes with Chen's VFP advanced. I don't know, maybe he'll change it or not, but it's there. All right, on to the challenges. Okay, obviously this has not been released. There's been many challenges to get to the release, and I just want to describe some of the reasons why. Maybe not all of the reasons, but some of the reasons and probably the most important reasons. So first of all, understanding the MNX structure, it's quite different from the other sources of the VFP binaries that I've worked with. I've done a lot of work with the FRX structures. I've done some work with obviously the VCX and SCX structures for HackCX. The menu design, the menu MNX structure is probably the least forgiving of all the menu of all the source code files. One is it requires strict order of the records. Okay, the first three records are the setup records, the things that you would do for setup procedures and cleanup code, those kind of records. And the rest of the records have to be in the sequence of menu pad, and then all its menu items, then the next menu pad and its menu items, and so on, all the way from left to right, top to bottom. Okay, and if you get them out of sequence, bad things happen. You can trust me on that. The file spec project is available with all releases of VFP. It has a project that gives you the ability to run reports that have all the documentation that Microsoft has released on the MNX structure. I found that documentation quite useful. It's also available in both 2.6 and 6.0. When they say 6.0, it actually is 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And it's also the first time, because of the structure of the MNX file, it's the first time I used the XSpace insert, not the SQL insert command, but the XSpace insert command, which actually will take and insert a record and move all the other records down in the DBF file. And the reason for that is if I need to add, I want to be in the same sequence, right? Let's just take a look at the documentation. And I actually have it available actually in the MenuDesigner because I was tired of tracking it down. I also wrote a Thor tool that would open the same reports. But anyways, this is basically, there's a PJX file called file spec, and the file spec PJX has several reports that you can run with the MNX table structure documentation. Okay. Base classes in your UI versus a framework. A fine example of this is what I ran into between G2 Hack Menu and MenuDesigner Pro. They share some class names. Now, if I wrote a tool that had some class libraries in it, and I have a set class library too, and you happen to have that same name class library, and it's further up in the path than my libraries are, my code is going to execute your code, and bad things will happen, right? So what is the alternative to this? And that is to not use many class libraries and to use a lot of base class code or base class objects on forms in code. And that means that you write lots more code because you're not taking advantage of your own internal framework, or you're not taking advantage of your library of objects or library of modules that you can use to make things easier and, of course, less code to debug. And it takes more time. When I go to refactor, if I change my mind on something in any of those toolbar buttons, I gotta go change code in every single button. And it is frustrating, but it ensures less support calls on the flip side from the community once the tool is released. Yes.
Why not have class libraries where you're using some funky naming, double underscore in front of the name or something?
Yeah, Tamar's question is good, super valid, and that is, why not have your own funky naming scheme? It's a choice. It's a choice, and I chose to go this route. The lesson is save time debugging weird reported issues. That's the lesson I've learned in building tools for the community for the last 30 years, okay? Climbing to feature complete. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am, I have a hard time where I struggle with the idea of releasing stuff before it's completely done. And I know that that's a personal problem, not a general issue for developers, but I prefer having it womp everything's done versus here, try this and see how it works. And if you push this button, it's going to blow up, right? And if you push that button, you're going to be aggravated with me. So I take that philosophy. Now, a lot of development methodologies have release early, release often for a reason. I mean, it is a way to get quicker feedback and do iterative loops with your users. It creates focus for very narrow releases. I think it is also a problem with larger releases with bigger features that take longer to develop. But that, again, is just a balance. I'm witnessing strategy issues with this on VFPX. There are certain projects that I don't absolutely download the day they're released anymore because the developers are literally in tight iterative loops, and sometimes they don't go through enough testing. It's just the way it is on some things. And there's serious consequences when you're working with someone's source code. And I take that very, very seriously when I'm working with your MNX. I don't want your source code for your MNX to get trashed. Although I am doing backups as long as you check the checkbox. But from my experience, not everyone does backups. Okay? That's why Clever Fox actually exists. The lesson, and this is a lesson that I try to teach my team on a fairly regular basis, is sometimes you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's why I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to make this product available before it's ready to be released. Okay? And that's a warning to you guys. It's your choice to take a look at it, though. The VFPX tools over the years have spawned new ideas. For instance, the whole add-on idea came from Project Explorer and seeing that in Project Explorer. I am personally a developer who learns by seeing things, by watching what others do, by reading what others have to publish, by watching conference sessions. And I've known this since I was a young kid. When I was a young kid, I played baseball. Okay, I played outfield. My preference was right field because my hero was Al Kaline from the Detroit Tigers, one of the best right fielders in the history of baseball, in my opinion. Okay, I watched Al Kaline play for years, and I watched how he would catch the ball with two hands and be in a position to immediately gun down the player running to third base. Immediately. It was like catch and release was unbelievably quick. And I watched him do this. I learned how he did it. And then I started doing it in right field for my baseball team. Okay, that's just how I work. Well, as a developer, watching Jim Nelson with Thor and Andrew McNeil, what he did with code analysts and Matt's dynamic forms and Jim's Fox charts and Joel's Fox tabs and parallel Fox and so on and so on. These are amazing products, and these guys have put so much work. These developers have put so much work into these. We're talking thousands and thousands of hours in each of these products. And quite frankly, it's a little intimidating when you're trying to put a product out and you see these cool things being developed so rapidly. And I have a real day job that takes me away from being able to do this. And other developers find time to put in the hours. So anyways, it's intimidating to do that. But it also, the stuff I see in some of these products, I'm borrowing them for my own tools. And that's one of the advantages. So anyways, the lesson learned is that future features have to live for another day, which is why the enhancement list is as long as it is. Internationalization. Again, I mentioned early on that I did not consider internationalization from the beginning. It's embarrassing to me that I did not do that, but I had always thought it would be an easy strategy. Search all the strings in the application, build a constant file, and recompile it for each language, and then do the translations, which is another overwhelming sounding thing to me. But with Google Translate is remarkably good these days, a lot better than it was back in the early 2000s. I don't even know if it existed in the early 2000s. But anyways, Google Translate's available. I think that I can do that. I always thought that I would have to reach out to the community and ask, the South Americans to do Portuguese, or, the Europeans to do German and Spanish, and the Russians to do Russian, and so on. I just thought that would be, I'd have to go search down the resources for that. My suggestion, my lesson learned on this is do your internationalization strategy from the beginning, one way or another. I'm currently on, my belief is I'm going to use Intel. Intel is pretty straightforward. I've tried it before. I've used it before successfully, although not with VFP. I actually did it with FoxPro for Windows 2.6. So shouldn't be that hard. Famous last words. Actually, Kathy Pountney used it for a project that we did a while back. I tried to get her to do a session. If she's watching, that session is still on the table. It is a far more complicated process than one would think. Okay, legacy code. How many people feel comfortable showing their code to other developers? Really? You're that comfortable showing your code to other developers?
In sessions.
Well, yeah, but okay, how about code that's 20 years old?
Well, that's less comfortable.
Oh, okay, but still, there's some pretty bold people out here. I'm in awe. Okay. Yeah. How many people feel like it's opening up the underwear drawer? Okay, I will tell you that there's code in MenuDesigner Pro that's been around for over 25 years. Okay, I did things 25 years ago that I wouldn't do the same today. I told Doug, I said, I really should probably refactor a lot of this stuff to get rid of some of these things. It's like, well, the code works. Why do that, right? So if you're looking at my code example as an example of how to do some things, there are certain things I would point you to, and there's certain things that I would say don't look at. Okay. I built some of this code with only 5 years of Visual FoxPro experience. That's kind of an amazing thing. Okay. There's stuff in here that I wrote 2 weeks ago. Okay. So anyways, the lesson is ignore the haters. Adding features is more important than refactoring the techniques of yesteryear. Okay. Visual FoxPro Advanced 64-bit. I do not know how many people are using Visual FoxPro Advanced 64-bit, but I do know that if they are, they can't run MenuDesigner Pro. They also can't use tools like the class browser, right? Because it's using a 32-bit ActiveX control for the tree view. 64-bit doesn't work. It needs a different control. I thought about, hey, can I just get the DPI controls? Well, I do have them. I have a copy of them. It has both 64-bit and 32-bit. I saw Doug's session on it a couple years back. Doesn't look all that complicated to use. But can I deliver a control commercially for an open source project? Can I use a commercial control to give other developers who also should go out and buy their own license if they need one? I'm not sure. FLLs, if you're using any FLLs in your tools or your applications for that matter, they have to be rewritten for 64-bit as well. So I'm not sure how many people are using it. Right now, I'm sort of ignoring it. Although I was trying to think of a strategy to replace the tree view that I can, so 64-bit VFP can run that. Bugs. Okay, I don't write bugs. I know that there are people who do. But what I do find really annoying is when my customers say, oh, I was running this and it blew up. Okay, it blew up. That's cool. Why? What were you doing? What are the steps to what you were doing? What were you expecting and what happened? Simple, everyday stuff that each of us, every single one of us, wishes our customers would provide when we're doing development for our applications that we release to users. When you look on open source projects, VFPX being one of them, it is occasional, not every day, but occasional, I will see stuff like, oh, it blew up. It's like, as a developer, we should all be reporting all the proper ways to reproduce these bugs. And I don't call people out when I see it, but it's like, I really would love to, because I think people really need to understand that. I'm sure everyone in this room and online with our virtual team, our virtual attendees will follow the protocols for this, but I really want people to understand the importance. And I'm as guilty as anyone. I sent Jim down a rabbit hole earlier this year when he released his quick access to me, and it blew up. And I showed him the screenshot of where it blew up in the code and stuff, but I didn't give him reproducible steps. I mean, I eventually did because I realized what I had done, but it's really important not to waste people's time, especially when they spend so much time for our community. Okay, announcing a product is not a strategy to incentivize the release. Okay, marketing 101 is to get the information about your product out as fast as you can to as many people as you can with as much information that will make them want to buy it. Okay, and I was excited. How hard can it be? I already had a hack tool that was already working. This should not be hard to do. But because of a number of things, it didn't get released, right? I can't tell you the count, but it's way more than it may be a large integer field on how many times people have hassled me about not releasing this product. Okay, Doug. And it's just one of those things where, I wanted to have that whole feature complete and I didn't release it, but I shouldn't have talked about it probably, so that I wouldn't have got people's hopes up. So unless you're adrenaline a junkie, You have a time machine or lots of free time, just don't do it. Probably the biggest reason is motivation. Okay. I work a lot of hours. So for me to work on a tool in my 80 to 90 hours of the week is a lot harder than if I was spending it in the 40 to 55 hour range. It just isn't happening. I didn't get a lot of feedback from the hack menu, and really only a small group, although they did repeatedly tell me that I should release it. It was only a small group of people, mostly people who came to our conferences, because that's where I was demoing it. Some tools are just good for internal use, and some are more for general population. And in this case, I kept it internal, which I regret to this day. But time is precious, especially as one gets wiser. I didn't say older, I said wiser. Okay. All right. MenuDesigner Pro is not the only alternative out there. There is Greg Green's alternative. His tool looks very similar in many ways to MenuDesigner Pro. It uses some custom ActiveX controls and some third-party ActiveX controls. And there are some detailed instructions that failed me to install it so I could demo it to you guys. But it looks very promising. It's part of a whole suite of tools that Greg has released in open source. You can actually get it on Greg's, whoops, got to bring it over. Greg has a whole repository for it up on GitHub that you can download it, along with a bunch of other files that you have to get for the ActiveX controls and so on. Looks very promising. I would highly encourage anyone to take a look at it. All right. Wow. 3 minutes early. I never do this. Are there any questions? Yes, Joel.
One slide mentioned, I think it mentioned you could not delete menu items. Is that accurate? Or?
Joel's question is, can MenuDesigner Pro delete items? It has a button for it. The button doesn't work. But the code is not that complicated. It just hasn't been written. I should say it that way. But it is not trivial either, because when you delete a menu item, you have to delete all the child records as well. So it's not trivial, but it's not hard. Yes, Robert.
I have comments about your statement about releasing the product. I've done it myself. And one of the good things, or one of the things I remember is, don't release something when you're about to go on holiday.
Yeah. Robert's comment for those virtually is, do not release something before going on holiday. I call it the vacation flag. Yep. Release it and go on vacation. Yes. Definitely do not do that. Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Was there a question in the back? Yes, Tuvia.
Sometimes I hear a response from people that menus are obsolete.
Yeah.
In UI. So I just want to point out that in the latest Microsoft UI Windows UI specification, it includes extensive menu specifications as part of what should be standard UI.
Yes, Tuvia's comment was, for those who did not hear, is that the latest Windows specifications include extensive menu specifications. I will say that even more importantly, I mean, menus are what they are. We're not talking, this does not just do system menus. You can also do context sensitive of shortcut menus and top level form menus and so on. This is not just the system menu. Additionally, I think there are opportunities like Doug's code to do his object-oriented menus, my idea for building the ribbon control, because that's all, the ribbon control is purely writing code. And so having a UI to that gives some, I don't know, context to using this tool, not just for menus.
We have from Paul Becker that, I'm not going to read it exactly, but confusion, misunderstood what you said about what Doug has for object-oriented menus. So probably want to clarify what that is.
Okay, yeah, the question is about understanding object-oriented menus. VFPX has a object-oriented menus project. All the object-oriented menus are code-driven. It's a PR, you build the menus through a PRG. And what Doug has written as an add-on for MenuDesigner Pro is the code that will generate the program that will then implement the object-oriented menus in your application. Okay, I never have my summary at 1 minute to go or on time. So building tools can be both fun and challenging. Sorry, Tuvia, no questions. Finding the motivation to deliver a solid tool to a broad community can vary by individual. I've exposed all my flaws, okay? So you'll know why. Tools can be delivered without being feature complete as long as their missing features are reasonable. MenuDesigner Professional is better overall than the native MenuDesigner, but using both is okay, and I'm not offended if you use any of them. Native, mine, Greg's, yours, I don't care. Whatever works for you. That's all I've got. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks for... For those here in Arizona, thank you for getting up at a ridiculously early hour for Sunday morning. I'm going to jump over to the questions and answer session, but also please, and this is a flaw in the design of our slides. These are not showing it. Please fill out your evaluations. Please, please, please. Thank you very much.